We finally got confirmation on DLC dropping this month in Texas Chainsaw, and people are losing their minds over the pricing. Is this reaction justified? Is what we're going to talk about here. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, the video that Gunn released a few days ago is basically an overview of their work with Greg Nicotero. Nicotero is absolutely an icon in horror, and so they talk about this year-long process that they went through and how they developed this new Leatherface. So this is the Leatherface that went with Hitchhiker to dig up the grave in the original 1974 film. So they think about, what would that Leatherface do? What would he be wearing? So they got his sleeves rolled up because it's the middle of summer, right? And then they have, some overalls on him to help keep his pants up because, he's going to be doing the heavy lifting, as they say. He's going to be digging. He's going to be pulling the casket out. Hitchhiker is going to, kind of go through his prize, if you will, after Leatherface has done the heavy lifting. And then the mask they put on him actually has a face with the mouth that comes over one eye hole. So when you look at it from one side, it's like a terrified face. And then the other side, obviously, now you have both eye holes and Leatherface looking at you. It's absolutely terrifying. And I think the design itself looks really good, but it's not just the character. You actually get a brand new chainsaw with a different sound setup. And it's like a 1950s chainsaw is what they went with. So it's more of a rugged look as opposed to the original chainsaw. Even though it's from the 70s, it still has more of a modern look to it. So this one looks like a piece of machinery. And then it's got, of course, the blade and everything sticking. It actually looks pretty cool. And then you also get the execution pack that comes with this Leatherface. Now, what I would like to hear, if you don't know the pricing already, or if you do know the pricing already, what do you think an appropriate price would be considering paying Greg Nicotero for his time to develop this character? What do you think would be an appropriate price? I just want to hear from the community. There's no right or wrong answer, but what do you think an appropriate price, considering everything we just said, would be for this character with this chainsaw and the execution? I definitely want to hear from y'all down below, so pause the video or whatever. Okay, you got your guesses in. This character is $15.99. So $16 get you the character, the chainsaw, and the execution. Seems pretty pricey. So I looked at Dead by Daylight's structure that they use for their DLC, and essentially what I found is, their licensed content like Resident Evil and Alien is $11.99. I saw one for Freddy Krueger, not the good Freddy Krueger, by the way, but that one came with Freddy, a new map, and a new survivor. That one was $7.99. But a lot of their, newer licensed content is essentially $12, and you may get the survivor and the killer that goes along with it, and maybe a new map, or the new map sometimes is actually available to everyone, like in the case of the Aliens pack. And then if you want to buy the character separate, they're essentially $5 each. Now, if we think about games like Call of Duty, and I know this is a completely different game, I just want to kind of throw it out there, is, in Call of Duty, you might spend 20 or, $22 for a character, maybe a gun or two, weapon charm, and, an execution, depending on the pack that you buy, okay? Those things range from, $10 to $20, sometimes $30, and then they give you some COD points to spend, whatever. But we also have to keep in mind that Texas Chainsaw was $40 for the base game. Dead by Daylight is still anywhere from $20 to $30. And if you get the Ultimate Edition, it's still like $70. Or some of the various other editions that they have. Now, Dead by Daylight is on Game Pass, and, I got it for free on the PlayStation 5 because it's a little bit older game, but it's not like it's been free the entire time and they make all of their money off of DLC similar to something like Fortnite. So with all that in mind, let's look at the pricing for everything else they have to offer. Individual characters, victims, and family are $10 each. Now, from what I've read, those characters will have their own skill tree, their own abilities, their own executions that come along with them. Separate executions, similar to what we saw at launch, are $7 each. Cosmetics, as far as clothing and weapons, are $5 each. And then the maps, and they also put etc., is free. I don't know what else etc. can mean, considering they're charging for everything else in the game, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So here's my opinion on the pricing. It is high. I mean, you're talking almost $40 if you were to buy each one of these things, and that's just assuming you buy one character, one execution, and one cosmetic pack, whatever that will include. So over time, it's easy to see how you will have bought this game 6 or 7 or 8 times over if you buy all of the content. Now, there is a simple solution to this. You don't have to buy the content, but new content is how the game is pushed forward. So in my opinion, the pricing of what they have here should be halved, or better yet, offer a bundle that will include all of this stuff for $20, maybe $25. Now that's easy for me to say because I didn't have to pay Greg Nicotero to come up with this design and spend all the time doing everything they do. And we've already talked about how Gun and Sumo go through great detail to offer an authentic experience. And I don't know that anybody's arguing that. But at the same time, when you have a roadmap of items that are in here that cost almost as much as your base game, that's why people have such a problem with it. Almost $20 for one character, even though he's a specialized character made from a horror icon, is that still enough to justify the cost of it? I really don't think so. And even worse, Gunn confirmed that this stuff is not unlockable in the game whatsoever. And while I never expect a company to just, give everything for free when they've taken the time to come up with cool content, like I said, these prices are double what I would expect them to be considering what you get. Even with their own executions, if we're talking about buying a separate family member, and their own abilities, their own skill tree. If you look at it like this, we got 6 survivors, 5 killers, all with their own cosmetics and stuff. Besides, Cook and Hitchhiker, they, just have one cosmetic. But a lot of them have different cosmetics. We got 3 maps, all for $40. And so I guess if you wanted to look at it like that, that may not be a totally fair comparison, but that is one way to look at it. And so it is a little bit too much for what you get. That's just my opinion. I'd love to hear from y'all, man. Again, what do you think this stuff is worth? Especially the Nicotero Leatherface. Considering everything they did, I'd love to hear from y'all, man. Do you like this decision? I looked at the dislike ratio, by the way, of Gunn's video they released with Nicotero, and it has like a 50%, almost 50% dislike ratio. So it's not looking good as far as the response from the community here. Let me know what you think down below. If you like what I do, check out one of these other videos I've made on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. See y'all in the next one, and as always, hold 'em down.